no, the PTSD thing, and I gotta hit the record button. Boom, there we go. The PTSD thing was I went to I told Alandra this, and then I started telling other people this that last year in December, that is, I I watched Lord of the Rings, and we watched all the Lord of the Rings, not in one go, but like one a week, and I started crying at the end of Return of the King, like openly weeping, and I felt like, well, that's weird. That's never happened. And then on Christmas we watched the Muppets Christmas Carol, and I started crying at the end. I was like, all right, that's something. And then I went to Jessica's like, Jessica, what? Why am I crying? Am I becoming more empathetic? Am I becoming a better person? And she said, no, that's PTSD. Welcome to the club. This is COVID. Anyway, this is Mers, Manly Unicorns record stream, and um, I guess that makes us all a manly unicorn. But masculinity doesn't need to be tied to your gender, so there we go. Boom. Saved face on the fly. And on this show, we discuss. Sorry if I'm a little lazy today because I'm very tired.
Yours is the only audio
Mine is the only audio coming through. Well, that's you know what. Thank you. Now I have to fix that. Well, let's see if I can fix the audio. And I'm glad everyone was able to hear me just kind of talk. I was really happy about that. There we go. I found everyone's audio. Beginning it, you know what? This will be the great introduction. Just south of me is my good buddy Otis, also known as Feyhd. Feyhd, introduce yourself. Still no one else. All right. All right. I will. Okay, that was a great introduction. Yeah. You know what? I'm the only sound they hear, but I know exactly how to fix this. I'm already on it, guys. I wish we could screen share what I'm doing. You should see the code just streaming across the stream. It's just like incredible. Oh yeah, I've rerouted the encryptions. I've gone through the back door this time. Very sneaky, very
Mhm.
sneaky. Now, Otis, you want to try that again? Do it perfect again this time.
Oh, hey, I'm Otis, also known as Feyhd. I like Marvel things, and I also like watching TV shows that also involve Marvel things. Did it work that time?
It worked splendidly.
Okay, great.
Except you might be coming out through my speakers, and I'm sure that doesn't happen. But perfect, awesome. All right, and then to the internet's to my screen's right, which is my left, is Alandra, aka Lady Bedivere. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lady Bedivere, aka Alandra. I'm just here to have strong opinions and look cute.
Killing it. And then down on at the corner on my left is Tony Saramali. Tony Saramali.
Hi, I'm Tony, movie guy, sitcom enthusiast, and up until a few seconds ago, under the impression that I was the cute one. But that's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
It really just depends on who gets to do their intro first. That's really how this boils down.
First come, first serve. I understand.
100%.
You just got to claim that seat. Don't worry. Like next week, the hot seat's going to change. Someone else is going to go first, so it'll be fine. Anyway, so we just finished, or I just finished rewatching. I don't know what you guys' patterns are. Episode 4. We interrupt your program. We interrupt this program. And Alandra, you want to give us a quick synopsis, real quick?
Yeah, we just did a complete 180 genre shift in this show. And this entire episode follows Sword as they attempt to investigate a strange anomaly in New Jersey, centering around the town of Westview that doesn't exist, according to anyone else around New Jersey. We start with Monica Rambeau, daughter of Maria Rambeau, who was the former operator or head of Sword, returning to work after having been returned during the blip that undid, spoilers for anybody who by this point still hasn't seen Endgame somehow, undid the snap when Thanos eliminated half the world's population. Everybody comes back, everybody's freaking out. She is one of the people who comes back. She shows up. She is told that thanks to her mother's protocols that were set in place after the snap, she is grounded and cannot go back to space, which is what Sword does a lot of monitoring of. So she gets sent to babysit a drone that's going to go into this weird town. She meets up with our old FBI agent Jimmy Woo, who we love. They start to explore this weird anomaly, and as she's exploring this force field, she pushes in and gets sucked into it. So then, of course, Sword just descends on this area of New Jersey. They set up a bunch of operations, including one of our other favorite friends from the Marvel Universe, Dr. Darcy Lewis, who shows up with her astrophysicist brain to solve some problems. She quickly figures out that there's cosmic radiance that is causing part of this, that is overlaid with a broadcast signal. She starts to pick up on that, manages to source it through an old tube TV from the 1950s, and picks up what we saw as the first episode of WandaVision, the one set in the 1950s. The entire rest of the episode revolves around the various efforts of the Sword agents to figure out what the anomaly is and figure out why they're catching this broadcast. We learn some interesting things about how the version of the broadcast that they are seeing relates to the versions that we have already seen as the previous 3 episodes, because they are essentially seeing what we saw with some slight self-censored differences, which we come to realize relate to the moments in which we've seen Wanda sort of pop her powers a little bit. We get the connection of the beekeeper that was seen at the end of episode 2, was a Sword agent. We see where the helicopter that Wanda found in the bushes came from. That was one of the drones, retconned to fit with the production design, which was one of my favorite jokes. And we see how we sort of see what we missed in the moment when Geraldine suddenly vanished from Wanda and Vision's house at the end of episode 3. And Vision came in, she was no longer there, and got a little bit of a hint at what's really going on inside of Westview as Wanda saw some things for what they were, which I'm sure we're going to have a bunch to talk about with that. That's pretty much what happened. But yeah, the title is very apt because it is truly a disruption of the show we've been watching thus far, to bring in a whole different side of the story and a whole different genre of television.
Oh, excellent. Well done. I like it. Does anyone disagree with that? I don't know why I would ask anyone to disagree.
Why? Yeah.
So I guess what does this mean? I mean, this seems just to be like I almost hate episodes like this that gives us all this, because now all the questions we had leading up to here are now just suddenly answered, and there are new questions. I guess, what are the new questions asked? What are the new mysteries after watching this?
Well, we still don't know what Wanda necessarily wants, although we probably know that it has to do with Vision, probably with bringing him back to life or something like that. Or maybe she has to maintain this illusion just so she can live with him in this bubble. But we don't know if there are any other players inside that bubble too that she's dealing with. So Mephisto could still be a thing. We don't know.
Yes.
We also still don't know, when they were doing there was the montage of figuring out, this resident was playing this character. Agnes was absent from that lineup, which leads me to believe that the Agatha Harkness theories might have... I think, to your point, Luke, yes, first of all, play the tape back. I believe I called it episode 4 would be the exposition dump.
Yeah.
I got everything else wrong, but I got that.
You get 10 points. We got points now.
So yes, a lot of things were answered, but this leads me to believe, because it's early enough in the season, that okay, there's going to be another huge thing. So I think the Mephisto, Agatha Harkness, I think that's all going to play into it. I mean, it was just the perfect amount for me, where it was like, okay, thank you for answering these questions. I'm still intrigued by what's going. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, well, now I know where everything's going.
Yeah. I think there's a big glaring thing that is left unanswered. There's one big question that they don't really focus on too much that I was hoping to hear more about, is that there's supposed to be Jamie Woo's there because of a missing person. And it's someone who is part of witness protection. And we don't know who that is. And that's the thing that's like, why wasn't that mentioned? That seems the most important thing that kind of gets glanced over. I've pulled at threads in the past to make weird. I said everyone was dead. Apparently, no one's dead, except for one. Well, Vision. Vision's dead. But
I was about to say, I was
Probably.
going to ask at some point if you still stood by your dead theory.
Yeah.
no, I don't. Not now. I gotta go back to my. There's so much red yarn I have to pull down from the wall now. We just finished moving, and now all these holes mean nothing that I put in. All right. So, but that was it felt like such not a. Who would be the person who's in witness protection that they are looking for, who's lost in this town? Like, why is that person so important? And it's an FBI thing. It's not like a sword or shield thing. We don't think it's some weirdo with like powers or something. There's nothing to hint at anyway. They also make reference to like, oh, the whole thing's a shape of a hexagon. I was like, what does that mean? So so he turns into a beekeeper. Is it bee references? I don't know what's happening. The queen and all her bees. Sorry, I'm going into my corner already. I'm going into myself.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what the hexagon's about either. It keeps appearing in various spots, and so it's just.
Well,
yeah.
again, we did talk a little bit last week about how the hexagon is classically the symbol of the AIM logo.
Mhm.
So it has some relevance to the comics itself. I did think it was interesting that as we saw the sword agent who's in the hazmat suit crawling through the sewers then become the beekeeper as he like passes through the portion of like the portal or the barrier that causes this, you do see him then morph into this beekeeper, and you see the end of his comms line get snapped off, and it turns into a children's jump rope when they reel it back out and they realize they've lost track of him. And so I think there is something interesting to the theory, something that matches the theory, which they explicitly state in the episode, and I think also came up in our chat last week about like it has to fit the world that like Wanda is creating this world or projecting this world, and so everything has to fit, and so those things that were too modern that couldn't have existed in the 60s have to now become 60s-ified to fit in the world of the sitcom that she's created. I don't know what else it means beyond that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the thing. I think, the drone turning into a toy helicopter, that makes sense. It fits the 60s. But the hazmat suit, we've had hazmat suits for ages. I'd almost think that the hazmat suit would fit in the universe, but it does make it useless. And I think that was the thing Darcy Lewis, the character Darcy Lewis, said was not to fit the production, but to render something useless. So now you have this thing that is, you have hazmat suits in the 60s. You had like Red Scare videos of propaganda that showed hazmat suits all the time. So it's not so much that it doesn't fit the 60s, is that maybe it doesn't fit the...
Well, it doesn't fit the suburbs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't... But like, I don't know, I'm going down a rabbit hole and splitting hairs here, but like, I think there's more to than just changing it from a hazmat suit into a beekeeper. I think it's to make it so that the use of a hazmat suit is now null and void. Like, went in with a hazmat suit. No, that's not going to... We're going to change that so you will be affected.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like
Does it make sense?
a ray gun that turns things into rabbits.
I don't know what I did.
That kind of issue. But yeah, it's like it transforms things, into harmless stuff that also fits the narrative. So that even if, like, I guess Wanda were to notice the colorized things or something like that, she might be able to, like, go about whatever she's trying to do and not be, like, have things interfere with her story, which seems to be important for some reason.
This episode ends with Monica Rambeau going, "Oh, it's all Wanda," and I wonder if that's true. And here's my conspiracy corner. So this show's broadcasting, and Aaron, when we were watching the show, Buccaneer Aaron brought up that Sword is definitely seeing more episodes than we are. We don't know how long Sword's been there, but Darcy mentions that every episode Wanda ends up washing dishes next to the radio. We've never seen that in the show of her washing dishes. Doing it. And now I think, like, we get the idea that Wanda's controlling the world, but who's broadcasting it? And they're also getting the weird commercials we're getting that are ominous. Those are not censored. So I guess, do you guys think that there's the possibility that there is still another person here that is controlling what's happening, that there's another party besides Wanda? I think we're led to believe controlling everything, but something doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I still think it's the devil. There were too many hints dropped in previous episodes. I'm like, I still think the devil's involved, and mainly it's just me, like, I just want the devil to show up in a Disney Plus show. That's all I want. Make me happy.
Oh yeah.
I definitely think that somebody else is involved.
It'd be great if we had a devil character
manipulating the world. My working theory is still that it's the Agatha Harkness theory. I think if that's who Agnes is, I think she knows who she is. I think she knows who Wanda is, and I think she's the other person in the world who is self-aware that it is created by Wanda. And so if the broadcast isn't an accident, if the broadcast isn't something of, like, these, cosmic microparticles are just, like, gucking up in some weird way, then I think maybe it's Agatha using, Agnes using her own magic that she has access to try to, like, she's not more powerful than Wanda, but she can at least drop clues or push some of this out so that somebody else, like Sword, can find out what's going on. That would be my theory. I don't necessarily think it's a negative force, which is interesting. I'm curious to see if there's somebody who is working against Wanda getting what she wants, who is an antagonist, or if Wanda herself is the antagonist of the show.
I kind of hope she is. That would be,
I would much prefer that.
That
seems to be a going theory right now.
Because I still really like Tony's theory. Sorry, I think we're getting lag, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Please don't interrupt Alandra. She was on to something here. Something about liking my theory. I don't.
Well, I was really disappointed that we didn't get Tony's theory, which was that episode 4 was going to be Vision wandering around discovering that he's in the dome. So I'm still hoping that maybe we get that. That we maybe get Vision becoming self-aware and starting to, like, explore and piece together that things are not right. Especially because we got the hint of that at the end of this when he's very blatantly like, we don't have to stay here. And she's like, no, but we do. And
Yeah.
that's weird, honey. Okay, baby. All right, cool. Let's go watch TV. You're acting weird. So.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be. I think, I agree that episode's coming where Vision's going to just be like exploring the boundaries and stuff, and maybe getting more out of the townsfolk, because they also seem to be like semi-aware, maybe possibly, assuming that Herb is just a random townsperson that was there. I think he was confirmed as like one of the people that lived there. Yeah, so like they might have some sort of awareness that they're being controlled, maybe.
Yeah, the two major missing confirmations was Agnes and then Connie. Is that the character's name?
Or Dottie?
Dottie?
Yeah.
Bonnie?
Dottie.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dottie, yes. Yeah, she's the only other one that was not accounted for in that montage. So, I would love it if she's the one that's like actively rooting against Wanda. I like that idea a lot.
That's interesting.
So, here's so I have a couple of questions. First of all, how long was the beekeeper in the sewer?
Yeah.
Because he left before. I keep calling her Kat Deely, but that's so you think you can dance. Kat Dennings, Darcy. He goes in there before Darcy shows up, which is before the first episode, and then he doesn't pop up until the end of episode 2. I'm like, and then I think a couple of days pass. So I'm like, how long did it take for him to get over there? Or is it the same guy or a different guy? Or...
I have no idea.
The timeline seems because they mentioned that there are more than the episodes we've watched. Right.
There's an episode where the cinematographer decided, let's focus on
are they just like
extra?
ending and then starting again?
What?
Did we lose him?
Yeah. Like, it's literally if the Truman Show had a credit sequence and then just started back up again. I'm hearing all you, so.
All right. I think you're on a time delay. I think it's like last week.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I keep getting
attempted
to reconnect, so I'm going to do a little that.
Nice. Also, I just want to point out, I know
you're all hanging on my every word.
It's because we're in real time to each other, but you aren't, so we have to just keep waiting to see if you're talking or not.
Yeah.
This is thrilling. This is people are watching this and just
I'm on the moon.
See?
Yeah.
You tried to deny it. We were right all along. Time is inconsistent and doesn't match. Sorry, interrupted. Please go, Todd.
It's fine. I will throw out. There were still a couple of TV show references in this that I do want to just throw out there really quick.
Please.
First of all, this is what I would call a Dr. Light episode. We're not focusing on Wanda and Vision. We're focusing on the other characters, very much like a Doctor Who episode where, David Tennant's tired this week, so someone else can take over. When we see Jimmy Woo, first of all, that was the other thing. That's the only other Marvel reference I've gotten when Jimmy Woo does the card trick. I'm like, oh, Ant-Man. I got that one. I knew that one.
Nice.
That's because he was learning how to do the card trick. But he mentions that he had a poster of Elliot Ness in his room. Elliot Ness, I mean, he is a real person, but there was a TV show based on his exploits in 1920s Chicago, The Untouchables, later the movie with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. So a little nod there. And then the main, last week it was the Brady Bunch. This week they took their inspiration from Murs, because really they're just doing the fancy version of what we're doing on this show. I love on
that's right.
The whiteboard, why sitcoms? Why the heck?
Yeah.
I loved all of that, and just the running commentary.
That was...
Wait, he's dead, right?
Yeah, straight up.
He's
dead. Vision dead?
He's not blip dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, minute the scene whiteboard, I was just like, that is what we do!
And we can confirm that Darcy is the woman
I
that
didn't
we
say
saw at
anything.
the end of episode 1.
Yes. Yeah, we got that
Excellent.
repeat of that final scene.
Yeah. It also occurred to me, once we started getting into, Westview doesn't exist, I went, of course. Because why would a city in New Jersey be called Westview? And so they're like, no, it's Eastview. I'm like, yes, okay. It was right in front of me the whole time. I just thought it was like, New Jersey? Yeah, why not? It's like, nope, there's a reason.
I
There's
didn't
a
even
reason.
think about that until just now. I was like,
And
oh.
again, we have some interesting stuff because, like, Jimmy Woo's from Bakersfield, and I believe there's a reference, I might be misremembering, so don't quote me, but I think in the first Thor movie, there is a reference to Darcy having worked on a project or done some studies in California. So you do have some of these, like, West Coast Avenger, West Coast references starting to seed in a little bit. Again, I don't know if they're going there, but like it is kind of an interesting undercurrent of the West East setup.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the West Coast Avengers.
Everyone does, because Hawkeye runs them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is the West Coast Avengers are like the Hufflepuff of the Marvel
Yes,
universe.
they are
Okay.
100% the Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else is in New York, and then there's a small group of like C-listers who are just like, you know what? We're gonna go literally anywhere else. There's so many heroes in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you
I
know
had
what?
so many
Okay.
copies of the issue. Oh, I was gonna say I had so many copies of the issue of West Coast Avengers disbanded, where they all quit. Like literally every member puts their like ID card on the table and it's like, nope,
Yep.
we're done. I'm not doing it anymore. And what? Wonder Man's the only one who didn't get the memo. He just shows up. Are we done? Are we not doing this anymore?
He was in the bathroom when they made that decision. What?
Sorry, Tony. Keep going.
I have
Am I on the
another
moon
question for
again?
everyone.
Yes,
Yes.
you are.
You're still
Very
on the
much.
moon.
I'm gonna talk to the 2 real-time people here.
Go for it.
Here's my question. I find it interesting that so you go into this Wanda universe, you change to assimilate into this universe, but then when you go out, you do not change back. Do we have any theories on that?
Yeah.
Or any reasoning behind that, or any logic on that?
That actually goes to an interesting question that I had, which is when Monica gets sucked in, because they didn't really have the answer to this yet. When Monica gets sucked in and becomes Geraldine, does she still know that she's Monica? Like, does she get sucked in and she's now immediately part of the sitcom, or does she get sucked in and we haven't seen the scene where she goes, oh shit, and like breaks into somebody's house, steals some period appropriate clothes, and like comes up with a persona so that she can try to figure out what's going on? Because clearly by the end of the end of the last episode, before she got boofed out of there, she recognized who Wanda was. Like, she remembered Wanda, she remembered Pietro, she remembered all that stuff. So I guess the question is, was that her remembering it in real time when Wanda slipped up and started talking about Pietro? Or did she know all along and she was using this as her in of like, oh, maybe I can have this conversation and be like, hey, let's talk about this thing. So I think that question might provide an answer, but it is interesting that she did not change back when she got shunted out.
Yeah, I was under the impression that she was kind of like waking up from something, like Wanda talking about her brother like triggered something that like kind of lessened the control for just a minute, and then she also said things that like, and Wanda was like, oh wait, you should know that, why are you here? And then
the only hole that I can poke in that is her very first scene in episode 2 when she introduced herself and says, and I'm Geraldine. Like, there was a self-awareness to that, and then later in that episode, when Wanda says, oh, I'm not revealing our secret. I had a feeling you'd say that. I get the sense that she's like, okay, I'm just going to play along, and then once she got the scene where she mentions her brother, I think that was her in of like, okay, I've gained her trust. Buccaneer Aaron brings up a very good point. 2 very good points. One, Luke, you've never left the moon. but that she blinked during the lullaby and seemed to come to herself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of weird stuff going on with
I'm always on the moon.
so.
nice. What
I
else,
am
Jim?
on the moon.
Oh my god.
I think that's a weird thing. I think there's a moment where everyone has this moment where they remember who they are. So, like, Geraldine, the name seems like a cover, but then she doesn't remember what she's doing. And then remembers later on, like, oh, that's right, this is who I am. And then even like when things are going weird, doesn't skip a beat. Just like, oh, like, I will ignore this. I will actively ignore this. There's things spinning. Yeah, it's weird. It's selective amnesia. Only certain things are gone. I don't know why. There's another thing that came up that I brought up rewatching it is in all the scenes where Wanda's using her powers. Every time it's the sitcom, all of it looks like practical effects. It looks like things on wires and stuff. But this is the first time where we see use her. That's never happened. It's always like just a blink, 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 and now she's like, "Oh, that's right. I got red glowy hands. I'm gonna fix this, or I'm gonna push you out." And I actually thought that was noteworthy because that makes me think that there's someone else controlling everything. As we wanted to do some magical red glowy hands. But in all the scenes that magical things are happening, no red glowing hands. And that makes me think like there's another puppet master going on here. Yeah.
Like something.
Am I on the moon?
Yeah, still on the moon.
Always.
But
Yeah.
what I gathered, like, you think there's a puppet master because, like, when she's, using her powers in the sitcom part, like, something else is probably doing the magic parts for her, maybe, like, within the dome. But when she's, like, she only actually used her powers just to toss Geraldine out, I guess. Maybe.
Sorry, I'm trying to look.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Ah, okay.
Because I think just the red glowing hands is red glowing hands. Suddenly, before that, every time she's doing magical stuff, no red glowing hands. Also, I thought it was a very sick joke at the very first episode. I didn't even think about this, where she says Vision has an indestructible head. Oof. That was rough.
That's true. Yeah, that was pretty jarring when she saw him, like, at the end of the episode, and, like, his head was all messed up. It's just like, oh, right, that did happen.
Well, and also interesting because it does tie in with, like, we started the episode with seeing everybody who had dusted come back, seeing the reversal of that. So for her to see him still destroyed and without the Mind Stone indicates that he did not come back, which leads again to that question that Jimmy had on the whiteboard: is Vision dead? Because as far as they're concerned, he wasn't dusted. That was the whole thing, is like he died in a very different way. And so there is now that question of like, what is the Vision that we're seeing? Is it a projection of her mind? Is there something else going on? Whose powers are at play here? Because we know there's a bunch of people with like crazy cosmic powers out in the universe. The other thing that I thought was interesting that kind of played to this is that when we get to Sword headquarters at the beginning, the acronym is different from what it is in the comics.
Huh. Huh.
Well, that did it for her.
Oh no.
Anyway, how are you doing, Otis?
I guess it's our show now? Wait,
Yes!
what just happened?
We did it. We're getting our spinoff.
When they showed it to us at the beginning, SWORD stood for Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division.
Mhm.
In the comics, it's Sentient World,
Oh.
if I remember correctly. That's what I was trying to double check to make sure that I'm saying it right. Sentient World Observation.
Apparently,
So
the
it's
stream
interesting that
is.
SWORD was one that was basically
It was
doing the
freezing
side of things,
quite a lot, and now it's just perfect.
Mhm.
and so it's interesting that they put the weapon because
Your audio got weird.
Yeah.
Can barely hear you. It was fine for like a minute and then was slowly petering down.
All right.
While you're figuring out, I like that they actually. Yes, I also got that they changed the acronym. They even explain it in that first scene. But wait, the W and O stands for this and this. Not in a fan servicey kind of way, but just baked within the exposition of here's what it stands for, people. This is canon now. Don't ever question this.
All right. Sorry, on the fly fixes.
To keep everybody happy, just in case.
There we go.
Yes.
Somebody's going to bring it up. And then there will be letters.
And by letters, you mean tweets.
Yes. Right.
I highly doubt that the Marvel. Well, I'll show them to whom it may concern. Dear Mr. Feyhd. What was the other thing I was going to bring up? As one of the few people who still miraculously has not seen Endgame, so the blip. So this is in the future, right? Because the blip happened or the death happened in 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
so now
this would be 3 years after the blip.
Okay.
And a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so we're somewhere in the future. So it's good to know because of Darcy. Hipsters survive the future. That's good. It's also kind of weird looking at everybody disappearing, and everybody returning post COVID, or at least now with the context of COVID. Just like, oh, that's really dark. Like just suddenly, like half the country or half the population disappeared. Like, oh, that already has not aged well. That's not good.
That was actually kind of rough
Yeah,
because
that's
we
true.
rewatched a bunch of Marvel movies at the height
Yeah,
of
it's also
COVID.
going to be interesting because we can assume that in the Marvel universe, I guess COVID isn't a thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I would assume they are going that route as well. And now
Yeah.
watch in the future, someone's going to slip up and mention social distancing or wearing a mask. Like, wait, so is COVID in this universe or not?
Mm-hmm.
So here's my other question, going back to the missing person. So is there anyone currently in the MCU that's unaccounted for that could be a missing person?
Oh.
That I can think of. I mean,
I mean,
no, because
Black Widow
they
kind
wouldn't
of.
be looking for her on Earth. I was
No,
like, Gamora's kind of missing, but she's also like really dead.
Yeah.
She's like
Black
a special
Widow's dead.
category of her own now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the point. I
Or
guess
is there anyone like that has yet to reconnect with their long lost dad or something? Like, a character that's been mentioned but hasn't shown up yet. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of those. I'm
Yeah,
sure the
there's-
missing person is Wolverine or something. I don't know. But
If that's like how they're starting the X-Men or like melding to that universe, I think they could do better. But there's nobody that stands out to me that's like, oh, that's who like should be missing.
mhm.
Man, that's actually a solid question because I'm like thinking back about people who.
Call. Yes, that is true. I have not heard you at all, Luke.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no one needs
As far
to
as I
hear
can
me.
tell, Luke
So,
is
so if we've
gone.
been interrupting you for the last 10 minutes, my apologies.
I've been desperately trying to connect these two, but since I'm not the master tech, I can't actually fix the problem.
Oh
I'm
no.
just trying to run interference.
But I can see your sound wave on the other thing, so I'll use that as an indication that you're trying to speak.
Oh, okay. Well, we could switch.
What about now?
Zencaster's like not laggy, right? So maybe if we just switch audio streams.
Oh, don't worry about Zencaster. It does its own thing.
Okay.
I don't know if I can be heard now, but I'm talking.
So are we getting Luke back or not?
Oh God!
Luke, you are only audible on the stream, so I've got you in one ear on the delay. You have completely left the call, so that's why we've just been talking to each other.
Oh, okay.
Wow, what an exciting episode this has been for the viewers.
Yeah.
Technology.
It's like an Altman movie. We're all just talking over each other.
I think I'm just gonna set up my
wait a
OBS
minute.
for next week, and we'll try to route it through my tech instead.
How about now,
This is getting
friends?
silly.
Hold on.
Oh.
Wait.
Okay, now I can hear you.
I got it. Oh. Yeah. What about
And then
that?
he went away again.
I'm coming back. Don't worry. Everything's frozen now.
What's really fun is I've been listening to the last 15 minutes with the echo delay because I've got the stream on to see if Luke is alive.
Am I alive now?
Yes.
It's amazing. Technology is amazing. Everything is horrible.
So could you please repeat everything you've said in the last half hour?
What I said, I'm on the moon.
Sorry, viewers, but I literally have no idea what Luke
we
said.
don't know.
The only thing that was said was I was literally trying to think of people who would be missing that are not like accounted for being dead. Like Black Widow, we know is dead.
What?
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Every time.
Yeah.
I do love that it's the same 3 spoilers every week. That's my
It's I wonder if that's what's messing me up. Yeah, Black Widow's dead. We got I was literally trying to think if there's anyone else who died. There's a different Gamora running around. Thor sees Loki die, but now we have a new Loki running around.
Which probably has to do with him snagging the Tesseract in the everybody goes back sequence. So now we're doing a lot of we're pulling people in from other universe threads. Doctor Strange is like, ugh, why? Please stop screwing with the fabric of the universe. God.
Yeah.
Okay, new theory. The missing person is either Terrence Howard or Edward Norton. Is that...
Oh, okay. I would buy that.
Yeah, are we going? I think I'm onto something here.
Okay, I'm liking this.
That we're gonna get essentially Spider-Verse, right? With Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire all showing up as the Spider-Men from different universe threads. So
is that a thing? Is that actually a thing?
It is a rumor that is going around because of the success of Into the Spider-Verse. To be fair, I think we'd all just rather have Into the Spider-Verse. I would have those Spider folks. They're way cooler.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But it does speak to the idea of the idea of all the different, because that's common in the comic books, right? You've got the 616 that is the main universe, but then you have all the other variant worlds where you have all the alternate timelines and all the different variations of what could have happened. And Doctor Strange straight up calls that out in that's how he achieves the solution in Endgame, right? Is he goes through every single thread of the universe to find the one version where we can make it work, and then he just opens up portals to all of them and is like, hey everybody, boss fight.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Anyway, what I was saying that time was that you made a good question, Tony. I was applauding you on your question.
Oh, thank you. I'll have to listen to the recap on YouTube to hear it again.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
So, are we going to rule out then? We're at the 1 hour mark for us and the 45-minute mark for anyone who's watching. I guess, do we want to rule out multiple universes, or are we, because Vision's dead and these are all people who were in the town. They all had New Jersey licenses and passports. A bunch of them may have been like snapped in and snapped back out, or snapped out and snapped back in. Are we ruling out extra universes? Like, does this show even hint at another universe?
I don't feel like it's been explicit yet, but I don't think we can rule it out at the same time. But it doesn't feel like it's heading that way. Not to me, anyway.
That seems a little too complex, doesn't it? A pocket universe within an alternate universe, like it just. I don't know. Well, and you guys have been following this franchise a lot more than I have. Like, is that is that something that they would lead fans to? Like, hey, will you buy this?
Well, they kind of did that with the last Avengers movie. Is that they mentioned how it's not really time travel that they're going. They're going back in time. They actually have the same. It's funny because they say it doesn't work that way when they mention Bill and Ted, but it's literally like Bill and Ted's Bill and Ted, where the clock in San Dimas is always running. You can go back in time, but real time is moving. You have to wind your watch. Remember to wind your watch, because time is still moving for them. So when they go back in time, they make a promise to come back, and Captain America is going to like make sure all the stones go where they need to go, or else it's going to make pocket dimensions where different events have occurred. So no, I don't think it's. I mean, an alternate timeline with a pocket dimension, that's basic. That's basic comic book stuff. Come on.
I do get the impulse. Like, I again absolutely wouldn't rule it out. We've established that it exists both in the comics and in the MCU. This does feel more to me like memory manipulation, especially because that is very explicitly one of Scarlet Witch's powers, is the ability to change memories and change events as they are remembered. So I think that's more likely of a direction that they're gonna go, is that it's that memory manipulation, that selective amnesia, those kinds of things. But I wouldn't rule out pocket dimension.
Maybe that kills the theory I was thinking about there being an extra person censoring everything, because if you're Wanda and you're controlling everybody's mind or trying to control an entire town's psyche, it makes more sense to kind of censor it like a sitcom rather than to try to make it more believable.
Do we think it's out of the realm of possibility that if there is another person at play, it's the Watcher?
Oh, the Watcher.
Because we're dealing with a lot of the cosmic rays. We're dealing with Sword that deals with all the extraterrestrial stuff. So if the Watcher is up there sitting on his throne, keeping an eye on things, and knows that her manipulation of events or of memories is going to fuck with things, he might intervene, because that would be within his purview of, like, you can't do this, it's going to screw up the fabric of the universe. Again, I don't know that they would burn introducing the Watcher in the TV show. He seems like way too cool of a character to do that with.
Hold up. They've already introduced the Watcher.
Yeah, true. Sort of.
Tony, do you know what we're talking about?
So, one question. Who are you talking about? Well, one that then umbrellas out into several questions, but no, who are you talking about? Is it The Watcher in the Woods? Is this another Disney deep cut?
Oh god, I wish. That would be great. That would be the crossover we all wanted and didn't know.
I want some DHCG Betty Davis, and I want it now. Who is the Watcher? Enlighten me. As everyone watching this rolls their eyes that I don't know who that is.
Basically, he's there's these infinitely old cosmic beings called the Watchers, and they actually show up in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as like a Stan Lee thing. Stan Lee even says that he's one of the Watchers. He's like, "Hey, I went to Earth. Can I come home now?" So they have these big heads and they're bald, and they basically just watch the events, make sure things unfold. Usually, they can't intervene. But the Watcher who watches Earth often intervenes, and they're kind of like Doctor Who. Like they try to let things just go. They observe, but then you got one who's like a wild card and occasionally comes in and changes up things.
Got it.
And he's hung out quite a bit with the Fantastic Four and stuff. He's shown up in the Avengers quite a bit. Does he help? I think he somewhat tied to Galactus, or at least like watches Galactus go eat planets and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the Earth X sequence. He specifically ensures that Galactus is born, again in that non-interference way. He's also usually the impetus behind the What If series.
Yeah.
It's the Watcher kind of basically doing what Doctor Strange also does, which is that like replay the like, if this had gone this way instead of this way, what would have happened? So
Yeah.
This brings up an interesting thing I had not even thought about. As far as I know, we have not gotten a Stan Lee specific shout out in this, in lieu of a cameo. You'd think they would get that out of the way early, just to like, okay, there it is, and now here's the other stuff. But yeah, I'd be curious to see if he pops up somewhere. If like, in the 80s episode, there's an 80s version of him in the background or something,
yeah, or like the Hitchcock
Yeah.
picture in the paper sort of vibe or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I was actually hoping that they were gonna fake Shemp him from now on.
Oh god.
Like there's just someone who kind of looks like Stan Lee in the background.
It's a Plan 9 from outer space. It's just a guy with a cape over his face.
Yeah. That's 2 inches taller.
Also, to go with the theory of, okay, maybe Wanda is being manipulated, a point in that favor of that, what was the song playing over the credits of this episode? Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. So either it could be that Wanda is being manipulated, or she is the one doing the manipulation. So, could go either way. We'll see.
Good point.
You don't think that's just a nod to like, oh, these are children of a witch, a voodoo child, if you will?
But this episode wasn't really about the children.
No.
Yeah, that's right. That was an episode, 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
Good point.
they're old news. Also, I got that wrong too. They did not age at all in this episode, so
Yeah.
I'm way off.
Well, but
I'm
we
out.
didn't move forward in time.
I
We
know,
moved
I know.
backwards. So,
Yeah.
which would have been even funnier if they were then toddlers.
They were in the first episode. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Also, and I have to give credit to New Rockstars for pointing this out. First of all, when everybody's gathered around watching the first episode of WandaVision, one of the secret agents is actually like really enjoying it. There's just a guy in the back who's like, "Aw." But they also pointed out, and maybe this was intentional, and maybe people are just reading into it. So Wanda shoots Monica out of the house. She crashes through the living room wall, then the baby's room wall, then a fence, and then the barrier. So the barrier being the 4th wall that is broken. And I hope that's the thing I've really appreciated about this show. I think because they know there's going to be people like us that are just combing over everything. So they're like, okay, we know people are going to be looking for clues and hints and stuff like that. Let's make it worth their time. Like there's a lot of attention and care given that, for me at least, doesn't feel fan servicey. I don't know if anyone else feels otherwise, but
So far, it just feels like really smart hints that they're dropping. I'll see if I continue to feel that way, but so far, yeah.
Yeah. So far, it's remaining charming.
it's all you can hope for anything in life. Just remains charming.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think we covered it. I think we knocked that out of the park. I think this was the technically most sound episode, and I think we covered.
Not if you were in the chat. not if you were on here. Not if you were three of us.
I want to thank all 2 viewers for watching, and I'll post this to YouTube unedited because people like that raw energy. And I don't know if I should put in the soundtrack where it would be just confusing. Where I need to see what it's like for me to be on the moon. It's incredible.
I like the idea that people are watching the video and just like, wow, Tony and Otis are such dicks. They're just over Jesus, guys, what's wrong with you?
It's funny because every
time you just stop, you're just in the middle of something, and then you just stop. Like, oh man, they're not even letting him speak.
What's great is that on my end, I'm waiting, like knowing that I'm on the moon. I'm waiting for a joke to land, and it's great. Not hearing it, laughter, and then I'll just keep going, and then suddenly I'll hear some chuckles. It's like, what I say?
2, 3, 4. Okay.
Yeah. It's just like thunder and lightning. This is great. Cool. Next week we got an episode. Why am I saying the obvious? That's silly. Anyway, thank you, the 2 viewers, for watching, and everyone else who picks up and watches later. I'm Questing Luke. You can find me on Twitch, Questing Luke. Sometimes I play video games. Most of the time I don't anymore. Instagram is Questing Luke, where it's very fun, vain photos of me working out, and that is my content to share. Tony, let's start with you today.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Tony Ciramelli, TonyCirimele. You can also find me at the Horse's Head blog, which is my film blog. I'm watching every movie on the National Film Registry, and one of the filmmakers actually reached out to me today. This is absolutely true.
Wow.
He's now a documentary professor up in Oregon, and he's like, thank you so much for this. Here's my email address. If you ever, I'm more than happy to set up screenings for people of my film that's on the list. So that's now the second filmmaker who has reached out to me as just like, this is weird, but cool. Thank you. So it's, you never know who's reading these things. So we're getting there. But yes, Horse's Head blog. Check it out.
All right. Feyhd, let's go to you.
Yep. I'm Feyhd, also known as Mugged Mahandra on Twitter. I'm on SoundCloud, I'm on Mixcloud, I'm on all the clouds. Sometimes I make music.
And Alandra.
I am at Lady Bedivere on pretty much any social media, with the exception of TikTok, where you got to put an M in front of it because somebody took the basic name. You can find me streaming D&D with the Torpid Gaming Network on Tuesdays and Quests and Chaos on Saturdays. And if you want to know my other streaming stuff, you can just look me up anywhere online. Very active on the Twitter if you want to have a chat about nerd stuff.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.